Hi guys, welcome to the second session of our apps script for advanced Google Sheets class. So in our last session, we talked about how to write app scripts to do a simple copy and paste. And in this session, I'm gonna do a little bit data transformation, basically to convert this table into actual accounting journal entries in another Google Sheet of this tab. So you see we have debit and credit here, and we have amount, vendor, and memo. And so I'm gonna convert this table into a journal entry format into another Google Sheets using AppScript. So before we begin, let's first examine what we have in destination Google Sheets. So looks like we have amount in this column and we have debit and credit here. So I'm going to populate the debit account and credit account from the financial statements in here in those two columns. And vendor, we have the vendor names here in column D of the original Google Sheets. And memo, for the moment, we want to populate the PO numbers in the memo column, has a record. And let's look at our original data table as well. So the original data table provided the debit account, like which account this expenses should go, right? So, and it doesn't provide a credit account. So normally for a small company, the credit account, the accounts payable is just one account, which we can actually do a hard code in the app script itself. And I will show you later when we start writing the code. Now let's start write our code. So let's go back to the app script screen and create a new file. And I will call the new file converges. So before I start writing any of the functions, I want to start by defining some of the constant variables where is the destination Google Sheets at, and where is my data should be. Should be in this tab, starting with cell A2 to column E. So let me start writing the constant variables here. Let's call it destination G Sheets. For the moment, let's leave it blank. And another one, call it destination range. Let's go back to the destination G Sheets and grab the Google Sheets ID and paste it here. And we want to define the range as journal entry example tab, starting with A2 to column E. So let's copy that over. E. So now we can start writing our function. Before I do so, I want to rename my function name, call it convert data to journal entry. In the next, I want to basically create a variable and say where's my data source at. Data source G is basically this time, instead of using the uh, Google Sheets API, I want to use the built-in app spreadsheet app, in which you can get active range and basically get the values of those active range. And I will explain why I want to do so. So basically, what I want to achieve is I only want to convert the data to a journal entry when I select the data, when I make those rows active. Like for example, if I select those two records, I want to leave the first record alone. I only want to convert the journal entries for the last two records. So that's why I just use the active range and get those values and convert those to journal entries later on. So I select the data, but I need to convert the data into a journal entry format, right? So for the moment, I don't have a way to convert before I write the code. So let's just define a blank list. I'll call it source journal entries uh, to a blank list here. Um, so now we can start writing our functions where we can convert this data I selected to a journal entry format. To do so, I will need to write a for loop. So I will say for variable, let's call it n equals 0, and if n is less than the data source journal entries length, want incrementally add n, then here what I can do is I can convert the table into the actual journal entry by saying, if I say the source journal entries, want to give it a push, want to get the data out. The first one, I want to basically populate the debit account first, right? So the debit account is the fourth column of this table. So to do so, I will say this is the data source, the records I select, and then the fourth column, because Node.js started with 0, so the fourth column is actually number 3. So I have this here. And then also, if I go back to the destination Google Sheets, the second column is I'm asking, what is a credit account? What is accounts payable account number? So, and I don't have accounts payable account number here because for small companies, accounts payable is just the one specific account. For the moment, let's just assume we have account 220 has accounts payable. So we can just directly hard code this in. So now I populate the first two columns I need. So the next one I would need to grab is the amount. So the amount is in the third column of the original table. So basically what I can do is I can just copy what I had before and paste it in here. Third column is number 2. And now I populate the amount. And the next one is vendor and memo, which corresponding to the vendor name and PO here. So it's pretty straightforward. I can simply copy what I have here. The first column and the second column. All right. So now I successfully write a for loop converting the data um, from the table into a journal entry format, right? So I'm pushing that, I'm adding that data into the blank list. So now I have a list storing the journal entry format. The last thing I need to do is basically using the Sheets API to update the spreadsheet value of the destination Google Sheets with the values I converted, right? So to do so, similarly to our last session, I will simply do values, first journey entry, then pass down destination Google Sheets ID and the destination range. Similarly, I don't want any formatting to be copied over, so I will say value input option wall here. Now I'm done with my functions. In the next, let's give it a try. After we saved the functions we just wrote, so let's go back to this Google Sheet and go to extension, go to macros, and you see the convert data to journal entry function is here. So before I click it, I want to select the records I want to convert to the journal entry first. And then let's go here and click this function and run it says finish the script. So now let's go back to this, and you can tell the table records are basically successfully converted to journal entries, debiting the respective accounts and crediting the accounts payables we hard-coded in the script, and what's the amount and what's the vendor and the PO numbers in the memo. Um, Here is one example how you can quickly manipulate the data into the format you want. I personally use it very often to help my customers to convert humongous data records into accounting journal entries they need to do import. And this is part of the automations I do. How do you like it? In the next session, I want to introduce an AppScript functions to solve one common issues a lot of people have, like how to group import like hundreds of CSV files into one Google Sheets. And how do you like AppScript so far, guys? And if you have any feedbacks, feel free to contact me and or ask me any questions. And thank you guys for watching.